Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Today we will be reciting the 19th stanza of Jup Bani, and it proceeds as follows. Asankh nav, asankh thav, agam agam, asankh lo, asankh kah sir par hoye, akhri naam, akhri salah, akhri gyan geet gungah, akhri likhan bolan baan, अखरा सिर संजोग वखान जिन एह लिखे तिस सिर ना है जिव फरमाए तिव तिव पाए जेता कीता तेता नाव विण नावे नाही को थाओ कुदरत कवन कहा विचार वार्या न जावा एक वार जो तुद पावै साई पलीकार तू सदा सलामत निरंकार. Now, to appreciate this pauri, it is necessary for us to understand the nuances of the words nav, names, plural for nam, the name, and akhar, word in human speech, and also the word, as in logos. Because here Guruji has used some very interesting poetic devices to use the same term to signify both meanings. So let's see if we can unpack this pauri. Asankh now, asankh thou. Countless are the created objects and their forms and places. Now this is referring to phenomenal existence, which states that every object is characterized by a name and a form. An object, the visible object, is simply the outer expression of an inner essence that is called nam. Thus, the words of the alphabet that represent that essence, a name for instance, actually signify knowledge about that object. Thus, my name signifies, for example, something about me. Then it goes on to say that agam agam asankh lo, that essence or knowledge, and of course here the knowledge that is being spoken of is nam, is buried deep. Agam agam, it's unapproachable, and it is buried deep in countless objects. So every object in the universe is imbued with the spirit of the universal essence. And then Guruji goes on to say, asankh hai sir par hoye. Actually, to even say it is countless is a burden, really, because words and language are limiting. And then we go on to lines 4 and 6, and from here we see that despite the fact that it is a burden to use words, there is nonetheless a certain significance behind the use of speech, language, and words, because they are vehicles of higher perception, as we will see. So in the next lines, what is being said is that despite the limitation of language that we have just pointed out to, we resort to words to designate names, akhri naam, and we resort to words to glorify, akhri salah. We resort to words to sing the praise and explore the depths of this ocean of virtues, akhri gyan geet gunga. And when the written word is spoken, it assumes the form of speech, akhri likhan bolan baan. Now lines 7 through 10 are interesting in that they can be read in two ways, and as a matter of fact are interpreted in two ways. And we will simply just place them in front of you. The first is to say that these words, the one written and the ones that are being read, are being used to compose this narration, the narration of Gurbani. And the narration is one of mystical union. Akhra sir sanjog khan. Sir here means creation or a creation. Sanjog is union. So this is referring to the narration of Gurbani, which is a narration of union with one's higher self. But then it goes on to say that the composer, in this case Guru Nanak, doesn't really own the narration, but is simply a conduit for expressing inspired speech that has been received. Jiv farmaye, tiv tiv paye. And then goes on to say that creation is a manifestation of now, jita kita teta now. Divine knowledge is woven into the universe and nothing is outside of it. Vin name nahi ko thao. The other interpretation is somewhat similar, but it says that the word here as the logos, from that word comes our destiny, and it is inscribed in us. And the one who inscribes, meaning Akal Purukh, is not bound by the writ of these words. As it is ordained, so it is received. All that is seen are your words, your language. Without the name, which is the creative principle of knowledge, nothing exists. It would be useful to remember for us that in Gurmat, in Sikhi, Sabad is used interchangeably with Naam. And it has a meaning and a significance that is a spectrum of meanings, actually. At one end of the spectrum, it stands for the word, the divine or unspoken speech, which is the unwritten law and the sound of silence. And this Shabad is too subtle for the physical senses to hear. On the other hand, Shabad is also a linguistic word. Human speech, human language, anything that is spoken is Shabad. And yet this sound, the one that is unheard, in its fullness is in everything, even though different objects, different phenomena manifests it differently. But it reverberates in each one of us. Guru Nanak, in one of his responses to the Siddhs, actually makes this statement when he says that the sound principle abides in us. Though indescribable, yet I find it eminent everywhere. So the world is its visible or material expression. Now, there is a definite link between the Shabad and the consciousness of the seeker, who is actually even reading the alphabet. So we know that Shabad reveals itself in linguistic words. It reflects the cultural code of the time, and indeed, no cognition is capable of reality in itself without some mode of cognition. But what is apprehended, what is received, is relative to the state of the seeker. So in his Patti Likhi, Guruji says something similar. He says that those who through the grace of the Guru understand the divine mystery behind these letters, occurs, the one that we are reading and talking about, will erase the debt, the lekha, from their heads. In other words, they will find freedom. Kabirji makes a similar assertion in his Bavan Akhri, where he says that these letters that we are reading will vanish, but they're mystical sounds. They are syllables and mystical sounds beyond these letters. And it is those syllables and those sounds, in other words, it is those meanings that we have to catch. So again, words that are read as linguistic words, speech, language, is the starting point to actually move all the way to understanding, to receiving the knowledge that is buried deep within us and is unapproachable through common language. Agam means unapproachable. Common language will not reveal that meaning. So we have to keep going deeper and deeper. And this is what is meant by vichar. We have to really churn the meaning out. Bilovana, harka bilovana. Because that agam knowledge is homogenized in us like butter is in milk. So it has to be churned out. And the letters that we read in Gurbani serve as our starting point. We leave you with these thoughts for now, and we will meet up again with the next Pauri of Jup Bani. In the meantime, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.